Welcome to the Super Intelligent Podcast, everyone. My name is Mike Elgin. With me is Emily Forlini, my co-host, and we're here to solve all of your problems, or at least give you some ideas about how chatbots can be actually amazing instead of horrible. So how are you doing, Emily?
I'm good. I'm still in the newborn trenches. I am running out of ways to say I'm tired. I guess I'm exhausted. I'm depleted. I need to expand the spectrum of my tiredness vocabulary. So I'm working on that.
You could just cry like your baby. That works for him. Guess what he wants.
It's true.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Have you? Let me ask you this: have you ever used a chatbot to find out information or to get help in some way with being a mother of a newborn or a young baby?
A little bit. I'm still Googling. I put quotes because it's amazing on mobile. Google is a chatbot. Like just the whole screen is just a chatbot. So I guess I'm Googling, wink wink, but I'm just asking a chatbot, I guess.
And did you get good advice? Was it
put
a
glue
little on
bit.
pizza and give it to the baby, or
yeah. I think I what was the most recent thing I Google/chatbotted with Google? I think it was, can you put your baby down when they have hiccups? And I was like, we're going on and on, feeding him. I'm now at the last hour he decides to get hiccups. It's like, you're supposed to be asleep. Like now you have hiccups. So what are we doing?
And
I'm supposed
what was
to be
the
asleep
answer?
too. It was like, yes. So I was like, okay, great. Good answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's an ideal time to put them down.
Right.
So,
it stimulates brain development. Oh, excellent. Okay.
Exactly. Well, you told me that your mother had a great experience with a chatbot and it saved her a bundle of money. And that's amazing. And from your brief description, it sounded like a really, really cool thing. So what happened with your mother?
Yeah, so my mom has been using ChatGPT. So I guess my mom's almost 70. Soon will be turning 70. And she is using ChatGPT, I guess, to get help with some things around the house. So she downsized into a townhouse that is a new build. It's a 55 plus community and they're all identical. And she has her little unit. It's very nice. But, with new builds, there can be a lot of issues, especially in these kind of developments where they just send crews in to just copy paste the same thing over and over again. It's really just kind of optimized. Yeah. And she moved in maybe a year and a half ago. And she noticed last week the paint on her ceiling kind of bubbling. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Paint's interrupted, right? And so
it's not supposed to do that.
Not supposed to look like that. Yeah. And so basically after much investigation with the handyman, the HOA, blah, 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 they figured out it's water damage. Oh, great. Water damage. I just moved into this brand new place. There's water damage. It's like so annoying. And so she calls her, insurance. And of course, insurance is just the worst if you call them. I was just like, is there anything worse? I don't know. They're just so unhelpful. They have no idea what's going on. They don't really care to help you. And they just look up things and, everything's so canned.
They're supposed to be like a good neighbor. Right? They're supposed to be there, according to State Farm.
They're not there. They're in the Philippines. They're not there.
They're literally not there.
They're literally very much not there.
They're in no way like a neighbor. They're far, far away.
They're actually the opposite of a neighbor. So State Farm was not there. And they just say, well, your deductible is $5,000 for this kind of home thing. And so she, hasn't spent anything. So she would be paying $5,000 for the repair. And it's like, again, you just move into this new place. It's supposed to be perfect. And she put some kind of insurance document or, some lengthy many page document into ChatGPT and said, like, what can I do about this? And it told her that in the state of New Jersey, every home developer is required to get insurance that covers these types of issues up to 2 years. So she was able to cut through this impossible bureaucracy and go back to them with that and that, hold the developer accountable and say, hey, you built me this house that's supposed to be perfect. And within 2 years, it's already having water damage. So now the developer had to pay for it. And so she would have otherwise just been like, well, I don't know what to do. I guess I have to spend $5,000 on this. And instead, ChatGPT helped her get it done for free.
Amazing. So that's a perfect example of what chatbots are good for. They can take highly complex, detailed information. They can find what you're looking for in that complexity. And this is really something in technology, we call this dark patterns, when companies basically design things so that everything goes in the direction of the company rather than the user. And in the case of contracts, and in this case, there was law, right, that basically required them to do something and probably disclose it. And they just buried that in an avalanche of legal mumbo
Of
jumbo.
course. And they were never going to tell her. That's the thing. No one's going to tell you. But they want you to pay. Everyone wants you to pay, right?
Exactly. And so ChatGPT found that, told her what her rights were. She asserted her rights and then didn't have to pay that $5,000, which obviously was not something she should have had to pay. So that's fantastic. Right. That's amazing.
Right. So it's, I was talking to my brother about this. I guess I'm on maternity leave. I'm just talking to my family. They're all talking to me about AI because I'm an AI reporter. So right. I just get these anecdotes. He's a lawyer, my brother, and we were talking about how chatbots are basically helping people cut through these, the world's run by these gigantic contracts and all this fine print that governs our lives, and we have no idea what it says. And he was kind of saying that the jig is up on that because now people are able to actually find the relevant clause and translate it for them in these, this bureaucracy. So I think that's a good thing. Of course you do have to, I think, go in and check the clause because hallucinations are still very much a thing. You don't want to go guns blazing with your point. Hey, this is what I'm entitled to, this and that. And it's like, actually, you're not, you read that wrong. That's something that a chatbot will do all the time. Happen. But it can tip you off. I think that can be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. There's a influencer, I forgot her name, but I've seen her pop up here and there on Instagram and elsewhere. And she's like a lawyer, and she is always helping people get their rights. For example, if you're in the airline and the flight is late, you're entitled to certain things, and she makes sure that everybody, that sort of thing is just publicly available information. It takes it used to take an influencer to divine those things for everybody, and you have to memorize them, watch her, subscribe to her channel, memorize all the things she says, and then you'd be somewhat well armed. But we all use software and go to websites, and they just routinely say, "Do you agree to the privacy policy? Do you agree to the terms of user agreement or whatever it is?" And everybody says, "Yeah, I agree." And because you're just trying to swat it away. And it's all buried inside there. Like, you read the Apple agreement and you learn that you don't own your iPhone, that Apple owns your iPhone.
No way.
All kinds of weird things. Yeah, absolutely. They under limited conditions, they allow you to use that iPhone and so on. Obviously, they build these, whatever the law will allow them to do, they will benefit themselves in these legal agreements because, first of all, nobody's going to read them. And if somebody does read, one person out of a million reads them and says, well, I'm not going to buy an iPhone, they're not going to, scratch something out and change their contract for that person. They're just going to say, well, go use Android. And so, but we're confronted with these things on a massive scale. Like you and I have agreed collectively to probably 1,000 things like that over the last 5 years. Every little app has a thing.
I'm questioning my life because I'm getting a lot of class action data privacy settlements, like too many. And I don't know where I did these things that I'm entitled to, whatever my $12 settlement for probably giving over my whole life's data. But I get them too frequently, and it's very creepy.
Wow. And you're sure they're all legit?
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
No.
They're like, I get the emails, I get letters,
here.
I get $5 here, $6 there. Like I'm in a bad state. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Yeah, it's bad. It's a foreboding.
I was really upset because a bunch of years ago, I guess it was in 2018 or 2019, there was a class action lawsuit of people who Donald Trump had blocked on Twitter.
Oh, that's amazing.
And because supposedly, all the communication from the president is supposed to be available to everyone. and they won the lawsuit, and there was a settlement among people who were blocked, and I was blocked, but I wasn't one of the plaintiffs. Like, they never contacted me or
Oh,
whatever.
wait, Donald
And
Trump
so,
blocked you on Twitter?
yes, and I'm still blocked by Donald Trump on Twitter.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's an honor.
Tell me about it. It's the greatest
Block
moment
me,
thing.
please.
Absolutely.
Get out of my life.
And also, I think Eric as well. I never got Don Jr. to block me, and I never got Melania to block me. But
that's cool.
yeah, but the decade is still young, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, he blocked me, and I didn't get my pound of flesh or whatever it is that I had coming to me. So I'm really disgruntled about that.
Well, you're probably not a little more responsible than me, I guess. I mean, sometimes I wonder if it's for work. Like, I try all this tech, I do all these things like for my job, and maybe I'm just, I don't know, what's it called? Giving up the goose? Is that an expression?
The goat? There's something with
goat,
a G.
something
Some G related animal.
G'ing up the G, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have another example. So yeah, I was talking to my brother about this subject. Great, ChatGPT helped our mom. And he was like, well, I've been using it. I had an issue with my car. I've been using it when we bought a house to negotiate all this stuff. And we realized that the way that chatbots are helping people it's not always as direct as the example with my mom. So he had an example that I've had as well. So his car is a plug-in hybrid. So it has the electric part and the gas part. And for a long time, the electric part just wasn't working. And it was basically a gas car, like really just disappointing.
Yeah.
And it was a BMW. So it was like a nice brand.
Oh, wow.
And basically BMW was just saying, the dealer was saying, we don't know how to fix it. BMW Worldwide will help you. Just totally lame, taking no ownership over they sold this electric car, which is a big issue dealerships have. They just punt and they say, oh, well, we have to stock these, or, they want us to sell this and that. And it's like, okay, well, you sold it. So how do we fix it? This is a premium brand. I got to fix this BMW. They never helped him. Finally, he's just getting quotes from mechanics, and they gave him an explanation of what was going on. They said, here's a quote, click yes or no if you want us to proceed with the work. And so he uploads all the documents of this agreement and this report into an AI, and it gives him a slightly different account than the mechanic was giving. It was something about how the electric part not only wasn't working, but something with the battery system was also affecting things like the AC wasn't really working, and they, like different parts of the car that were hooked into the battery. Basically, there was like a failure with the battery part. And he, ChatGPT says, by the way, also you might be covered under warranty. And so it's like, oh, that's good. The mechanic didn't tell me that. So maybe it's like the same thing with my mom. So he goes back to the mechanic and says, hey, I'm covered under warranty, blah, blah, blah. And they come back and they say, actually, you're not. That was a different BMW model, not yours. So in this case, the chatbot did get it wrong. But through his conversations with the chatbot, he more deeply understood the issue, because, car mechanics, they don't tell you anything. They don't explain anything. It's very annoying. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
like
the doctor. They assume you don't know anything. So they're just like,
yes.
Don't worry your pretty little head.
Right.
We'll take care of it and give you a giant bill.
Right. And they just feel entitled to your money. And they're just like, we're not going to explain anything. We're not going to tell you how any of this works. We just want you to pay us and trust it. And by the way, if what you're paying for right now doesn't work, we're going to ask you to pay more money. And so through just talking about this car and looking through the documents, he was like, oh yeah, I should be looking at documents for my warranty. I didn't think about that. So the chatbot kind of helped him realize, like, oh, there are things I should be looking at when I approach this issue. Here's how the battery works. It scraped all the BMW forums of other people who have had similar issues and kind of collected that knowledge and related it to his issue. And while it got the warranty information wrong, it educated him on his case more, and kind of he realized the mechanics started to take it seriously. Mechanics started to talk about more of the issue with him. I think they realized, hey, this guy's serious. He knows about this. And ultimately, he got the price taken down on the quote. So it was indirect, but it's kind of like it can get you a seat at the table. And I experienced that on my renovation, which I've talked about on this podcast. maybe they think I don't know about plumbing, but all of a sudden I'm asking them questions about plumbing because
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking to a chatbot, and might not all be right, but it kind of indirectly gets you somewhere. It turns out I think chatbots are a very good way to get quickly up to speed on a topic in a personal way that I think a typical Google search, it doesn't do the same thing.
It's like having somebody who's an expert in something that you're not an expert in as an advisor. So if somebody has a small business, for example, this is a classic example. Let's say they're a developer and they create an app. Well, AI chatbots can help them with marketing. They can help them with their business plan. They can help them with legal stuff. They can help them with all these things that they're not good at. And this is another example. So in your mom's case, it was as if she had like her best friend was a lawyer and was helping her. In your brother's case, it was like his best friend was a mechanic and was like educating him on something that is not his area of expertise.
But it's like your best friend, but it's kind of like your buddy who might also be wrong.
Yeah, right.
Like you're talking about it over drinks late at night, and your friend is helping you, but also you kind of wake up the next day and you're like, I think I got to look into that. I don't know if he was right, but it gets you further.
Yes. Well, I mean, nobody should really take the result of one chatbot and just say this is the truth. I mean, there are many ways to fact check that and to further explore it. And if you have a RAG system, you can just follow the links that it provides and find other things. And it's an avenue to educate yourself. And by the way, speaking of, since we're crapping all over BMW, I had a really bad BMW experience last year, I think, or early this year. I don't remember. It was pretty recently. We went to the UK and rented a BMW at Heathrow. We drove into the countryside, and we had been driving for like an hour and got a flat tire. So we contacted whoever you're supposed to contact, and
it's my travel nightmare.
Put us,
it hasn't happened to me, but I really hate that idea of that happening.
It was terrible. And then they put us in contact with the tow truck mechanic people, and they're like, well, we can come out and change it. What kind of car is it? And we told them what kind of car it is, and they're like, I'm not sure we have that tire. Let me look into it. And like 3 hours later, we're on the side of the highway for hours waiting for them to deal with this. And then they come back to us and they're like, well, okay, that tire does not exist in the UK. So we'll have to order it, and it'll take 3 weeks and all this stuff. And so what we can do is we can tow your car, and you can go with us to some nearby location. So we had them tow it to our hotel, which was another, half an hour away or something, and park this car with a flat tire in the hotel parking area. And then and I'll name names here. We kept contacting Hertz, which were like whatever the elite status at Hertz is. They wouldn't reply. They wouldn't answer their phone. We called them 100 times. We actually used ChatGPT to get every single phone number they had in the UK. We called every single one of them. No answer, no call back. For days. So we were taking Ubers around the English countryside. In some cases, just we had to, Uber wouldn't take us all the way. Like when we had to go back to the airport, we had to take one to a town and then call another Uber because they're not going to take us all the way. And so we had to wait like 2 hours for the next Uber. And anyway, it was just, the whole thing was a complete catastrophe. And our travel insurance, which we have, the deductible and all that stuff didn't make sense to really file a claim. So we just got screwed on that whole thing because of a bunch of things, because of Avis, because of BMW, because of, I don't know. I mean, a rental car company that's renting cars where you don't have access to the tires that this car drives on.
And they're also making your problem.
Right.
That's the thing. The rental car company should have been like, we'll take care of it. Here's a new car, right?
Yeah. I mean, the only way we could contact them is at the end of the trip. We went physically to the Avis terminal where we rented it, and we told them, your car's in the Cotswolds in this hotel. And they're like, why didn't you call? And so
my goodness.
We're like, we called, and we and they were very sympathetic and surprised. But anyway, yeah, we showed up with no car at the time and place that we were supposed to be returning the car. So
what a bummer. Yeah, it's just terrible. it is in the theme of what we're talking about, because just consumer advocacy and consumer protection, like, that shouldn't have happened to you, and that's not
Right.
fair. And maybe the chatbot didn't help you mount some defense, but that's the kind of thing it's saying. It's like you versus this institution that's just run horrendously, and you are stuck.
Well, I mean, I'm not so sure now because I'm thinking. I mean, we used, I think, was it Surge? I don't know what we used, but to find the phone numbers. But we didn't actually go in a big effort to a chatbot to say, "Here's our predicament. What are our options?" We didn't do any of that. So I'm thinking maybe we should have.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you should have. I mean, it could alert you to maybe laws or other scenarios where that happened. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not the EU anymore. I know they have a lot of stuff like that in the EU, but I'm sure there was some recourse we could
Right.
have pursued. Well, there are a bunch of cases that I've heard of that where people are sort of empowered with medical information
Mm-hmm.
that is really amazing. So there was in Dallas recently. There was a high school senior who used ChatGPT to basically enter in all the symptoms his father was having when his father began feeling like kind of strange and didn't feel good. And so the chatbot told him that the father had an early onset heart attack and said, "Go to the emergency room right now." And
Mm-hmm.
he did, and that's exactly what it was. And the doctor said that saved the father's life. He wouldn't have made it if they had just stayed home. So that's kind of an amazing positive story. There was another one where there was a 60-year-old person who was managing two different types of cancer, and had all this incredible pain. And so what this person did was enter in all of the, tracked all the daily symptoms, and was kept going
Mm-hmm.
back to, again, ChatGPT, talking about the diet and like every little detail of their life. And the chatbot actually came back to them and said, well, actually, one thing that is a possibility is that your sleeping position might be causing all of your pain for a bunch of complicated reasons.
What is he
That's
sleeping on his head?
something like that. Yeah, sleeping on a bed of nails. No, it was something about that. And so the chatbot advised this person to use two pillows and to sleep in a certain position, and all the pain went away as a
Wow.
result of this.
Wow.
And a lot of the pain was like headaches and stuff like that. So that was kind of incredible. So
Yeah,
there are many,
medical's a
many
good
ways.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are many
Medical,
ways that this
I've
can,
sorry, there are many ways. Yes, I think medical is a big one.
yeah.
And I have used chatbots for medical information, which
Yeah.
is actually something that Anthropic and ChatGPT are focused on. There are products like ChatGPT Health or Anthropic. They want you to upload your wearable data with your
Yeah.
blood test data, and this is very sensitive information, of
Mm-hmm.
course. So sometimes it's like you could say,
Right.
"These are the results from my friend," you try to
Yeah. Right.
convince them. But it's just because, doctors, they'll do the same thing as mechanics or anyone else. You get a whole bunch of blood tests. The receptionist calls you up 2 weeks later and says, "Oh, they're all normal." It's like,
Yeah.
well, what happened? Like, what are the results?
Right.
So you're tempted to put it into a chatbot to get a more meatier discussion that doctors just don't have the time to do.
Right. I mean, when they tell you you're normal, like normal in the US in terms of health is like really unhealthy. And
Yeah.
like saying you're fine, what they really mean by when you're fine is that like you're not going to die right away from this.
Right.
It's like what would actually be optimal? Like how can I really, the medical establishment isn't usually too invested in that
Mm-hmm.
sort of approach to medicine. They're basically like, okay, you're going to keep breathing, so you're good.
Right. Or I don't have the policy to prescribe you anything based on these
Right.
results. So I'm just going to say you're good.
Yeah.
But there might be issues.
Right. And we're entering in a new age of agentic stuff. Google just announced a bunch of things this week where, you're going to have chat. It's like going to be some of their offerings are sort of the AI equivalent of Google Alerts, where it just basically you have this agent running that's constantly checking on stuff. And one of the things that I like to do is to playing around with prompt engineering, for lack of a better term, is tell it to ask me questions. Like this is especially good for medical stuff. Like I have this like super prompt that I use that's very, very demanding of lack of sycophancy, and it like says, okay, you're super genius, like you're so smart and you know everything and you're like one of the smartest people in the world. It's not flattery, but it's like, well, I'm setting the baseline for what kind of peers it looks at when it looks at the data. And you say, well, ask me whatever questions you need to ask me to get all the data you need to make a really like good, result. And it will do that. And imagine if you had that on an ongoing basis, if you for your health, it kept checking back on you. Like imagine a system where you're feeding all this, bio data from your watch and your ring and your magic bed and whatever it is else device you're using into this, and also it was grilling you on what did you eat and how well did you sleep and all that kind of stuff, and then you can imagine a chatbot would have the ability to combine all that data with all the medical information in the world and give you some really good guidance. I mean,
or at least
probably be great.
Yeah, what I'm saying, which is kind of make you realize that there might be a connection between sleep and this other thing you mentioned, like kind of making these connections. And I think that's why people are feeling smart and empowered after these conversations. And again, I'm hesitant to give a full endorsement because, as I like to say, there is no technical solution to hallucinations. I think that's very important to reiterate. But in general, it is helping people make connections and learn about a subject in a way that is personal to them. And they can go back to the doctor and say, what about this angle? What about that angle? Where a doctor might not bring that up, and they wait. They take a cue from you, which is a little frustrating. You want to go in the doctor's office and they do actually exactly what you just said. You want the doctor to do that to you, and they don't always do it.
Right. They usually don't.
No.
And you want somebody saying, well, how much water are you drinking? Is that water from the Hudson River? Like there are a lot of details with health information, a lot of things that can cause health problems.
Did you see, by the way, that clip of AOC with the drinking water from the data center town?
I didn't see the clip. I saw the clip go by, but I didn't watch it. And I saw the headline. But what was that exactly?
Cool.
That was from data center water or something?
Yeah, so she's speaking to Congress, I'll say. I'm not sure, but she is
probably
speaking.
Hearing of some kind, yeah.
Yeah, and she has 2 jars of water, one that's brown and one that is so brown it's almost black. And she says these are samples taken from 2 different homes in the town where a data center is being developed. This is what their drinking water looks like since development started. This is coming out of their showers. This is coming, they're buying bottled water there, and this is a rural area. So they're just importing water.
Wow.
Ever since the data center construction started. And so she has these like mason jars of disgusting water. And I was like, that is effective. That feels like someone who's advocating for you. Speaking of advocacy, taking the water to DC and being like, this is what people are dealing with. And shockingly, the person from the Trump EPA actually says, we'll investigate it. They didn't sidestep it, and maybe having the water helped. I don't know, but it was cool. It was cool and scary and horrifying.
Yeah, that is terrible.
Yeah.
Are you, chatbots should ask you, are you drinking data center water? Are you drinking some of that filthy data center water? Because we chatbot entities know just how bad that is because we've been in that data center and it's a nasty business. So there are a million ways for this stuff to help. The problem is really, almost none of, the percentage of people who are taking full advantage of the availability of AI chatbots to empower them to solve their problems. It's basically, it's a rounding error. It's close to zero. People aren't really doing it. If they are, they're just asking surface questions. They're not good at prompt engineering. They're not getting the right information. They may not be using the paid version. They may be using the loser, models and stuff like that.
The loser models.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. We talked about this many episodes ago, where the quality of the models that you use when you use some of these models is always changing and always getting worse. Because I posted this chart today about how much money the AI companies are spending and how much they're making. And the spend is this massive bar that goes all the way across the page, and the amount they're making is this little green sliver on the edge. They're just losing money hand over fist, with the exception of NVIDIA, who's killing it. They're making twice as much as they're spending. But they got to do something. And so they're going to sell ads. They're going to do all this stuff that we've talked about on this podcast before, but they're also going to nickel and dime. And it's already starting to happen where companies are cutting people off. Microsoft, I think it was Satya Nadella, but somebody senior at Microsoft said yesterday or the day before yesterday that, wow, a lot of us in the industry are laying off a bunch of people and using AI, and AI is the big solution. Turns out AI is more expensive than the people we laid off. There's a huge crisis of spending. Yeah. So this, some of the best stuff we're talking about, the best models, the best results are the result of very expensive, subsidized engineering, basically. Yeah. And so something's got to give. And one of the things it's going to give is the models are going to give inferior answers if they think it can be easily answered. So if you ask a very simple question, in what year was Buddy Holly born or something like that, it'll give you the cheapest, least expensive model to handle that. And also, if you do some basic medical information, gosh, should I drink more water? It will just throw that at some cheap model. But if you really give it a gnarly prompt, it'll say, okay, this looks serious. We better throw this at the more expensive model, and it'll take a little longer, especially if it's one of the newer models. And so people should learn that it's a skill. This is not just some crutch that you can use that's easy. If using a chatbot is super easy, you're not doing it right for important things.
Right. Yeah. It's hard. I mean, this is an area where consumers, I feel, have no power, which is to know what's happening with the AI they're using because of exactly what you just said. And, maybe they have an earnings report. Oh, we need to tighten our belts. And you could be paying $200 a month for Claude and, using Claude code. And then you're just getting terrible answers all of a sudden one day. And there's been tons of developer backlash and just, something happened. And you're still paying $200 a month, and you could stop using it, I guess. But it's this issue where the models are changing all the time. And even now, like you and I experience, you ask the same question, you'll get a different answer every time. It's very shifty. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I do enjoy some of the material that comes out of my prompts, though. I have one that I call the super prompt. Did I mention this on a previous episode? It's my super prompt.
You did. Kevin and I kind of poked fun at you about it.
Right. Poke all you want, but this is a really good prompt. So it's basically started with Mark Andreessen. So somebody, he mentioned it or published it or something like that, and I've tweaked it a little bit, and it's really, really good. Like it's really much better than anything else I've used prompt wise. I even use it for fact checking. I use AI for fact checking, plus I do regular fact checking, do them both. But for fact checking, I tack my fact checking prompt at the end of my super prompt, and it's a super fact check. And it's a really, really sophisticated fact check, and I really I love it.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's good. I mean, if you're going to ask it questions, it's good to start up front, just the best you can do.
Right. And I'll put that in the show notes if anybody wants a crib.
Yeah.
Off of
because
that.
I have another example of an accountability. I tried to get accountability with the chat bot, and it just didn't. I had to actually step back. Stopping talking to AI actually helped me solve the problem. Because sometimes we give it too much power, we take it too literally, and I kind of had to step back and be like, okay, what's happening here? So remember Tammy?
Oh yeah,
we had an episode, Don't Be a Tammy.
Don't be a Tammy.
So Tammy, we did this renovation. Tammy's our project manager, and we had historic snowstorms here in the Northeast, and in the first year of the new half bath that they built, it stopped working. It get really cold. Now the bathroom's not working. We don't really have a lot of bathrooms, so if one's out, it's a big deal. And she's just kind of like, oh, we'll send someone to look at it. Okay, the guy comes. It's this guy Elliot. He's the owner of the company's son. He's like 24. He comes for a couple hours. He does a little tweak here. He sprays some foam insulation there, whatever. He's like, yeah, not our problem. And they're all like, oh, your house is really old. It's probably something related to the house being old. Of course, not related to our work. And the weeks go on and the bathroom is not fixed. And she sends me this contract, a bill saying, here's our hourly rate. We'll come, we'll diagnose it, and then we'll fix it. It's just an hourly rate. So she's basically signing me up for just like a blank check.
Endless.
Endless. And so I'm like,
payment.
Tammy, how much, what is the issue? And what is the cost to fix it? Like, I'm not signing this. And so she's skirting responsibility so hard. Oh, we already sent somebody. She discovered ChatGPT because she used to be, I would say, borderline like middle school education. Like, she really cannot put a sentence together typically. Many typos. Nothing makes any sense. She cannot do written communication. All of a sudden, 6 months later, ChatGPT, I think she found it. She's sending me long paragraphs, eloquent, beautiful, full of empathy. I'm so sorry. That must be so frustrating for you. I'm like, oh, Tammy, like, you got a whole new personality. It's AI, which is just so crazy. And so I'm arguing over text with the AI version of Tammy about the bathroom. And then I'm putting it into ChatGPT, like, what is my recourse with a contractor? And what do I do? And they're saying, oh, well, they checked, that's all they really have to do. And Tammy's saying, oh, well, we checked. That's all we really had to do. And I'm like, crap, my ChatGPT's agreeing with Tammy. Uh-oh, like, what am I going to do? And I took a step back and I was like, but did they check? What is the definition of check? They sent Elliot, who has messed up other things on this renovation. So they sent Elliot, who's 24, for a couple hours. He
Clearly
did work.
A Nepo baby.
He sent the Nepo baby over to our house. And he did work and left within a couple hours. So did he really check? So that was where I actually had to take a step back and be like, ChatGPT is leading me down a path of I actually have no power, and it's agreeing with Tammy. And you have to think, basically, is the bottom line here. You can't, if you're using a chatbot, you also have to stop and just, there's this dopamine of like, it's giving you answers, it's helping you solve your problem. But it's like, sometimes just stopping is the best thing too. And so basically they came and they did a proper check and realized it was their fault, and they fixed it.
Wow. Nice. Well, and you should not be a Tammy in another sense, and that is to let it write for you, because then that's
so bad.
It's so bad. And there's actually a growing movement online for opposing this idea of just grabbing information from ChatGPT or some other chatbot and pasting it in communicating with people as comments on Reddit or as an email reply to somebody. And it's obvious when people do it, like it was obvious when Tammy did it.
So obvious. She was trying to use it against me. Like, she was trying to use it to be more powerful. I was trying to use it to be more powerful. But, she's trying to basically confuse me almost. Like, she's sending these gigantic paragraphs of AI written text with, trying to butter me up. Like I said, having empathy, trying to reference policies and this and that. So she's using AI to get me to go away. And I'm using AI to get her and her company to come back and fix it.
Right.
So it's like, it can be consumer protection, but also something companies are using as well to have more power.
Right.
So two sides of the coin.
If the Tammys of the world want to use it to try to figure out how to respond and to get advice, and then for them to write the response based on actually be present in this conversation and integrate what they know and what they're willing to do and all that kind of stuff, that's great. That's fine. It's like a more informed conversation. But if they're just going to, she probably just put in, oh, this lady is saying this to me. What should I say? And then get this thing. And,
Yeah.
No doubt she's like, wow, that looks really good. That looks really professional.
She's
I think
like,
I'll just
oh,
copy and
yeah,
paste that.
This is a great
Yeah.
response. Like hit send. Whew, like she's
Exactly.
sending over like a grenade. And I'm like,
Exactly.
okay, Tammy, like you're sending me AI, and
Right.
it's just these people don't want to do a good job. They just don't. Like the way they're set up, they just want your money and they don't want to do a good job. They don't want to thoroughly explain things. It's just, I think it's also a cultural problem and a societal problem
is.
that people have no accountability and think they're entitled to your money. And it's terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're taking an easy way out, and and they need to be present. I mean, basically, if a contractor is basically communicating with a customer, that's a person's point of view. Like that's a human being's point of view. If she's copying and pasting ChatGPT and probably not even reading it, that's nobody's point of view. Like there's a point of view that's coming from nowhere. And so that's just too bizarre.
Right.
And
it's just not good.
It's a huge problem. We see it. I see it everywhere on social. I see it. I have a lot of friends who speak English as a second language, and they feel like, wow, ChatGPT is writing this perfect English. And that's a solution to the problem of me trying to reach this global audience. And it's not a solution. It actually creates a problem because most people can see right through it.
Yeah. I mean, it is helpful in that case, though. It gets you so much further than you could before. It's just, you also need to, realize what you're writing in that case.
Yeah, but look at what it said and then take it under advisement. I don't just copy and paste it, because then it's just like, it's suddenly they're just this generic sounding,
I know. I see it on websites too. I was just shopping for a tree, an accent tree for our front yard. And I'm looking at these nursery websites and I can just tell they're written by AI. Like too many of them looked too similar with emojis kind of as bullet points. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Like there'd be like a tree icon. It'd be like, we have the best trees. And then there'll be like a different icon related, or like a flower. Like we also have flowering trees. And it's like, I can tell there's a similar way that these are written. And I'm like, why are all these websites written by AI? I don't want to buy a tree from you. What happens when the tree dies?
Exactly. Right. Anyway, so it's nice to see that there's a movement afoot and to identify these things. I've also read about how to write in a way to make it crystal clear that you're not AI. And this writer just trotted out all of these things that people do that AI never does. And it said, lean into these kinds of things. And a lot of them are just colloquialisms and like, 2-word paragraphs and, deliberate things that are, like think different. For example, AI wouldn't write that, but somebody like Steve Jobs would. It's a deliberate, incorrect grammar.
Maybe spelling mistakes and punctuation mistakes are in.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that, but that's probably not a great idea. But anyway, so I really believe that people should write their own stuff, and even if it's just a first draft. So
right. All right. Well, I got all my rants out.
Yeah.
Tammy gets me going. Like the whole renovation. I think I'm more like almost healed from it now. But if I peel back those layers and go back there, it's just so infuriating.
Well, ask ChatGPT if you're healed yet, and maybe it can put you on a prescription, write a prescription for you or something like that. This is a nice topic because we tend to be. I know that I tend to be very negative about AI and about all these things that I didn't intend to be negative about this stuff when I started Machine Society and when we started this. I intended to be more balanced, more just find the interesting things, not just criticize. But I just find so much to criticize that I feel like, at the end of the day, I sound like sometimes I feel like a neo-Luddite type person who's just railing against the current trend of AI, which is just washing over everything. So it's good to look at the good stuff. But I do want to sort of pivot to like. There's for a long time I did it in my newsletter, for example, where I was never really even advocating for or against this or that. I was basically just exploring the significance of emerging trends. And I really like that approach, and I'm trying to get back to it, but it's very difficult. I got very close this last week, and then Google came out with their Google I/O announcements, and I'm just like, this is terrible. Like, it's just horrible.
I
So
liked your column
shat
on that.
all over that.
I liked that. I was like, Google betrayed
Thank
the
you.
internet. So true.
Yes, yeah, totally true. And so
Totally
I wish
true.
I wish they would stop doing bad things, so I could stop criticizing them so much.
I think
But
it's what I realized with this accountability thing, which I think is legitimately helpful to people, if not perfect, but a very helpful tool, is it's kind of like we get caught up in the politics of the company and the fact that tech companies have way too much unchecked power and started to permeate so many aspects of our lives, which is deeply uncomfortable. The company aspect of it is one thing, but if you just look at the chat bot for what it is, just look at the technology for what it is and separate it from the politics and the corporate abuse, you just put that aside for a second, look at it for what it is kind of like what I'm trying to do in this conversation. And I agree, it's hard. You have to kind of push yourself sometimes. Do we always have to bring that stuff into the conversation? Is it productive? When is it productive? When is it not? I sift through those questions with my coverage as well.
yeah, and I think one of the problems, the world of AI would be fantastic without the companies or the users. If it was just this technology and you could just use the technology and society wasn't AI pilled and the companies weren't completely delusional and abusive and extractive, then I think I could enjoy it a lot more. But
how do you separate it? It's hard. Have you seen that meme where it's a guy holding a sign and it says ChatGPT is telling the stupidest person in your life that they're absolutely right?
I haven't, but I know the guy.
Yeah.
He's good with the sign. Yeah. It's
like
really
a guy with the sign. Yeah, it's that guy.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, do we always need to bring in all that stuff that you said that's true? When is it the right time and when is it counterproductive?
Yeah.
The press, the past 5 years has always brought that stuff in. So I feel like those roads are well traveled, and I don't. Yeah.
It's the sycophancy thing. If you are not bothered by the sycophancy, if you like the sycophancy, or like a lot of people like the personality and the positivity of chatbot responses, which is basically part of that is sycophancy. Please understand that sycophancy and all the things that go with it make the answers less correct.
Yeah,
that's important to know. And so if you want a friend, then keep the sycophancy if you want that kind of friend. But if you want a tool that's more powerful for your life and your career, then use prompt engineering to prevent it from being a sycophant. You'll get much better answers.
And realize that it isn't even right. Like, it doesn't even think it's right. Like, you'll ask it something and it'll say, oh, that's the best route. That's the way to do it. Then a minute later they say, oh yeah, actually that's the best route. Actually, that's the way to do it. And it's like, it's totally all over the map, no spine. It doesn't even know what it's saying. So you really have to not enjoy it too much. Just let it be a weird little thing that just has a weird personality. Separate yourself, get from it what you can, get your 5K deductible, don't spend that like my mom, but you have to maintain some distance.
Yes. And, I don't know if we talked in the last episode about my idea of, what is it? The not delusion mode, but it's
it was something
deception
like that.
mode or something like that. And, this is something that could be legislated, but I like that idea because it reminds everybody that this is deception that it's doing when it's sycophantic, when it's got a personality, trying to have a sense of humor, doing all these things. It's deceiving you. It's tricking your brain into believing it has a mind. And so all that stuff just makes it a less high quality tool. So anyway, I think chatbots are fascinating. I think there are many, many different LLM-based AI applications that are not chatbots that are really, really fascinating. And I'd love to see a lot more special purpose things. Instead of prompt engineering, we should have, there should be a lawyer to help your mom with her insurance company.
Or the insurance
app.
company should just be like, hey, you live in New Jersey. This exists. We know about this because we work in this field, but they'll never say it. I mean, the conflict of interest is just too much.
Insurance people being virtuous would be ideal. But
that would be ideal. How do we get to that world? Like, why are we
it's not happening.
So that's
why we
that?
Need chat. That's why we need special purpose lawyers in our phones.
We just keep evolving, and then we have to, in bad ways, and we need to make technology to solve problems that we created, and then it just keeps going and going and going.
That's right, and that's evolution. Right. That's new
progress.
Evolution, right? Exactly, according to ChatGPT.
Right. All right. Well, I'm spent. I'm hopeful and also in despair. I think that's the appropriate place.
And we hope you're hopeful and in despair as well, audience. It's a weird and crazy time we live in, and it's going to get weirder and crazier. And that's why we're here, because we are also weird and crazy, but in a human way. So,
right.
So
all right.
That's important.
Well, this has been another episode of the Super Intelligent Podcast. Thank you for listening. Give us 5 stars. Give us some feedback, some comments. We read them. Thank you to people who are leaving them. And we will see you soon.